Over the past few months, there has been a lot of discussion and a lot of meltdowns over the fact that localizers are slowly but surely being replaced by AI, and not a lot of people care, but now a former Lovely Complex localizer is revealing that Western anime dub studios do not care if the localizers make changes like making characters gay, adding more representation, or just overall changing their characters. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, a lot of this is not going to come as a surprise to many of you because it's very clear that a lot of the studios just don't care about what their localizers are doing because they're not having multiple people check things over, and of course they are hiring specific types of individuals, aka the sensitive snowflakes we typically see complaining about every little thing on social media. But it is interesting to see it actually confirmed, because as if recent months had not made it already very apparent that the Western Japanese to English localization scene needs a massive reform, a former localizer for Discotek's dub of Lovely Complex has admitted that the changing of creators' original works for ideological reasons is not just a common phenomenon, but one that is openly allowed by industry higher-ups. I recently had to talk about Discotek's dub of Lovely Complex because we did hear one of the contracted kind of localizers went rogue and decided to make a lot of changes to the material in the English dub. Now, of course, the studio director did come out and say that all of his changes did not make it to the final product, and people are generally happy with it, but it does not mean that the situation still didn't happen, because this localizer came out and boasted about all of the changes that he made and about how nobody really cared when he was making them, which is just being reconfirmed by this localizer himself, the same one who made all of these changes and went rogue, because after he had posted initially about all of the changes that he made, he's actually been answering people's questions, and he decided to go on another tangent about the industry and about how people are overreacting to the changes that he made because the companies themselves really don't care. Now, asked by a reader in a new response to his admission, was there ever any pushback in terms of accurately portraying the characters? Like, were you beholden to anyone to retain the integrity of Lovely Complex? And Blabber proudly declared, no, the Discotek guys mostly let Lenti do what she wanted when she was the lead localizer. It helps that most of the accurate character portrayal in the sub is compromised of weird, inconsistent character tics that never amount to anything. Just because he finds them weird or inconsistent or pointless doesn't mean that they are pointless to the story, and that just goes to show that he did not understand the source material, because he's straight up saying, they seemed inconsistent to me, when there are threads of people breaking down this anime and these characters and why those tics were so important to character development, showing that this character is, nervous and anxious and just kind of, unfortunately, for the character, I guess, finds reasons to dislike people. Like, that is just part of their character. And he goes on to say that another change we made is the bet Otani and Risa made. In the early episodes, the main plot centers around the two of them trying to get a boy/girlfriend before the other. This bet is the driving force behind episodes 2 and 3, I believe, but after that, the plot thread is dropped entirely, even though nobody won. We added a few more mentions of that bet several episodes later and had them refer back to it to make the story flow a little more smoothly. See, this isn't necessarily a change that I think a lot of people would be angry at, as long as, you're not drawing the plot out more in order to make episodes longer or to add in random episodes, but at the same time, when you know all of the other changes that he and this localization team made, and you're hearing about how he's boasting about it, it just does not sit well with me and of course a lot of people. And then continuing in his revelations, he informed the public of note, most anime distributors do tend to ask that you don't advertise changes like making things less transphobic. Yes, because at the end of the day, you are still altering content from years and years ago. Lovely Complex was originally released in 2007, so of course we are talking about a big fan base and a dedicated fan base who do not want changes made to this content. Yes, a lot of people were very excited for this dub, do not get me wrong, but unfortunately for, Discotheque, even though you do not, advertise it, that does not necessarily mean that people are not going to catch on to it. That is why I talk in so many videos about localizers and censorship, because you as a consumer deserve to know the content that you are supporting and yes, the changes that they make to it. This is because large swaths of the anime community, of course, are racist, sexist, transphobic, and will descend upon a company's social media page for weeks for the strangest things. It's not that we are racist or sexist or transphobic for supporting content that you, of course, deem racist, sexist, or transphobic. It's the fact that we simply want to support a faithful translation, whether it is, in this anime or other animes. These people do not understand why we fight against these changes and ultimately censorship. We do it because we do not want content changed. It's like, I will go back and watch the sub 100 times over the dub, even if there are minor tweaks and changes, because now, of course, we know that they just view the fans as racists or sexists, and we want to support things like that because we're these awful things, even though that's not the case at all whatsoever. And it says TLDR, most anime distributors don't care if you make things nicer or more gay or add more representation. They just ask you don't flaunt the changes or use buzzwords. You're genuinely not allowed to say hot button words like sexism or patriarchy anymore in most funny dubs, even though funny isn't going to exist anymore, unless it's already in the subtitles, because those are words that brain-dead weebs get mad about and share on their various image boards. Yes, because you just said that we are racist, sexist, transphobic when you are providing no evidence of that, and you're just saying, oh, because you don't want this content censored, even though it could offend a few people, you're a disgusting human being. This is why we hate localizers. This is why we do not support localizers, and it's ultimately why we do not care that we're hearing a company like Crunchyroll and the CEO saying AI-generated subtitles are definitely an area they're focused on. Of course, this AI thing could go sideways, and they could end up, inserting the same ideological points into it, don't get me wrong, but it's still made people slightly hopeful for the future of, translations, because we just have no faith in the individuals who are working in this industry. And by saying things like this and calling us terrible names, that's not giving us any faith. And honestly, that's not going to make anybody support you anymore. That's not going to get more people to be on your side. It is just a pathetic situation overall to see this localizer come out and attack anime fans yet again, and also to hear that these companies at the end of the day do not really care if the localizers make changes like adding more gay storylines or adding representation or things that they deem as being socially important. It's just a pathetic thing all around, and this is a major reason why so many of us hear localizers and we instantly, worry. We instantly question what they're doing, what they've changed, and, what basically ideological talking points they're going to shove into our content. It'll be interesting to see if this localizer comes out and makes any other statements, or if Discotheque tries to damage control now that this statement has been made. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.